What's up, everybody? Back again with another rod bending series. We've done some part 2s recently. There were some requests for some new ones, and this one is one that was very interesting when I saw it. Dock skipping rods. It's something after my own heart. I love to skip docks. I wasn't surprised by the initial list. There's a couple on here that I didn't see coming because they're new, but some of the old favorites are not on this first go-around. They'll be on the next one, but this is the ones they set aside for me the first go-around. I do walk right into these and kind of get surprised at times, and then if I challenge it, they've got their data to back up why it's on there. But starting off the dock skipping series, this one, part 1 on this one, is the Falcon Cara head turner. One of the bigger surprises since I started working here at Omnia Fishing was Falcon rods. I've been asked for them a whole bunch, wasn't very familiar with them myself at all with my own personal experience. We were getting a lot of customer requests. We do a lot of customer surveying, and some of you watching this probably know that. We do a lot of regional surveying and things like that, and people were coming back a lot telling us, you guys need to get Falcon rods. After getting them in, the initial batches we got in, a bunch of us here all own some Falcon rods. I will tell you my personal opinions, certainly on these Cara, the lowriders are some of the nicest rods for the money we carry at this store. As far as just weight, performance, actions, they just feel like high-end rods. This Cara is more of like a deal, I would call it like a, I'm gonna say this rod is gonna go up there and punch with rods way above its weight, like $300+ rods. Very similar to what I would say like an X-Bride from Shimano's like. As far as like performance, bang for your buck, what you're getting here. These things feel absolutely alive. This one here came in at 4.3 ounces, which is not heavy by any means, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I know I say this in some of the rods, this is one of those rods that does not feel like it at all. These things feel super light. This rod right here is a 610 heavy action, medium fast bend. So mod fast bend, but it's a 610 heavy power. I know Jason Christie did design a lot of the actions in some of these, and Mike McClellan as well. I'm not sure, I believe this is a Jason Christie rod. Not sure though. But he does everything from spinnerbait fishing with this thing. I mean, it's powerful. It's a stout, short little rod, straight fluoro kind of rod, and it gets the job done. I actually fished with this rod last year, and I found this to be one of the nicer rods under 7 foot I've ever fished before. I kind of miss that I don't have it anymore, to be honest, especially now after standing here bending it. But we're gonna bend it on the wall here, start off with this one. This one is popular for dock skipping with a lot of our customers. If you are into flipping with straight fluorocarbon, or sorry, skipping with straight fluorocarbon, which makes sense, right? A lot of people do that. This is a rod you definitely take a look at for that. Okay, I'm here with that Falcon Cara 610 head turner, and it's exactly what they stated. I kind of was expecting that on this one as I was bending it. It's a mod fast. It's way heavier powered than it probably looks to you guys on there. Like if I just tried to bend this, I'd have to put the butt in my forearm to even get it to bend over that far. It's a powerful rod. But the tip isn't so stiff that you couldn't shake a bait a little bit or load it up even with something, I would say even, 3/8 size jig. I wouldn't be scared to throw that on this thing, a smaller jig, you know what I mean? All the way up into 3/4 ounce jigs or bigger if you wanted to. Honestly, this is an insanely powerful little compact rod. I think there's a lot of people out there slowly starting to, I know I'm personally starting to do it, look at shorter rods again for some applications. I really was one of those people that went super long for everything, and now I'm really getting into some of the shorter rods, and this is a pretty unique rod. To have this kind of power, this short with that kind of tip, I would say this is, to me so far, first rod we're bending, and imagine that is leading the clubhouse for best dock skipping rod so far. The second rod in our lineup is a Megabass Orochi X10 bearing down. This one surprised me the most because this is a new rod, so I was surprised that the boys picked it for dock skipping rod. Out of all the rods we sell here, you know what I mean? But apparently we've gotten a lot of feedback that this is a really, really nice dock skipping rod. 4.3 ounces, feels way lighter than that. This is one of the rods in the Orochi X10 lineup that when I picked up all of them, we bent like every single one. this was one of the rods that I was like, this rod's really cool. 6'9", medium heavy fast. It feels a little softer than the previous rod, as you can imagine. That was a heavy. I love the aesthetics on it. I do have that new Bates Hundo reel on here. This thing, they feel like a match made in heaven on here, by the way. They feel really good. The reel seat matches this reel very well. This is on the spendier side of things, as you know, but 4.3 ounces, feels really good. Feels a little softer than the previous rod. So this one, to me, so far, without bending it on the wall over there, feels more, I would probably, if I was skipping docks with it, this would be a braid to a leader kind of setup for me. But let's go find out. All right, I'm here with that Orochi X10 bearing down, 6'9", medium heavy fast action, and this is why we have the bending wall. I just said, I believe, before I walked over here and hooked the line up here to bend this thing, that this rod felt a little too soft for straight fluoro. Incorrect. It's got way more power than I thought it had when I was just bending it with just because the tip's a little lighter. This would actually make for a really good skipping rod with some jigs that are in that lighter weight category or some weightless plastics and things of that nature, because the tip is soft enough on this that you could get some momentum going with a lighter bait and skip it pretty far back underneath there. And it absolutely has enough power to crack them with straight fluoro. So take back what I said in the first part of the review on this one, or the rod bend on the bearing down here. I would probably still, I am a braid to leader person. This does still feel like a rod that I would probably do that with. Although I love the idea of straight fluoro on this, because the more I bend this thing, the more I think about like a close quarters dock skipping in between docks kind of swim jiggish kind of rod, where you kind of swim the bait out of there. The smaller chatterbaits people are dock skipping with and things of that nature. This rod feels like it would be fire for that. If you want a little moving bait rod for around docks, or skipping rod that feels really, really nice and looks absolutely beautiful and matches the new Bates Hundo really well, check out the Orochi X10 bearing down from Megabass. All right, back with our third rod in the lineup for today, and this one, once again, was another surprise. 6'10", medium heavy, fast action Shimano Zeus. Guess what? Lighter than the first two rods. That's right. This thing came in at 4 ounces. I'm not ripping on this rod at all, because that's an incredible value, an insanely nice rod for this kind of money to have that kind of weight and feel to it so far, at least monkeying with it here. It doesn't feel much lighter than the other two in hand. And that just might be the reel I have on here, or the way, just holding it and monkeying with it. But there's no denying math. It's 4 ounces. It was lighter than the other two rods by 0.3 of an ounce, and significantly giving you some savings. So I would say out of the rods, and I know we get a little flack on here for not doing more price pointy rods on here. It's currently not what we have a ton of here, and we're going to fill that out over time. But right now, this is kind of in our range of rods that is we consider more budget-friendly rods in the Shimano Zeus here. Medium heavy, fast action. I'm surprised by the shorter rods and having the medium heavy power instead of heavy power. I guess I learned a lot of my dock skipping from a lot of the older Daiwa stuff, and it was, I was into more of a 7-foot rod, because I do a lot of sidearm skipping instead of underhand and things like that. But these 610s are starting to grow on me a lot, and this one certainly feels like it's in the running for being one of the best on a budget kind of dock skipping rod. So let's go bend the Shimano Zeus 610 medium heavy fast, what we're calling a dock skipping rod. They don't call it, we're just calling it that. Dock skipping rod, 4 ounces. As promised, here with that Zeus medium heavy fast, and this one I will honestly say now, this is more like the rod before how I thought it was going to be. This one to me feels like if I was skipping docks with it, I'd have to run some pretty stout line on it. Some low, either super low stretch fluorocarbon or braid to a leader. For me, if you're a hard hook setter, take that away. This is plenty of power for the hard hook setter, but it is definitely more mod fast to me. Usually Shimano's like the most dead on with their actions that I've seen, and I believe this one was listed as a fast. But it definitely is, for me, loading up a lot more mod fast. It does have tip. It's got tip to say it's fast if you want to argue the action just up in the tip is what you're doing. I usually, want to put a little pressure on it and see where that rod kind of shuts off and starts pulling back at you really good anyway. And this one is definitely, to me, wants to get into that backbone a little bit more. Ideal rod for moving baits in close quarters. Ideal rod for if you're gonna fish a jig, maybe more your light wire jigs. If you're into more of the new compact style jigs from like a lot of the Japanese manufacturers that have hooks that aren't super awesome for bait casters all the time, which I've had a ton of experiences with, trust me. This would be a perfect rod for that. So if you're skipping like, let's say the Kitech jigs or some of the JDM brand jigs that have lighter wire hooks in them, this would be a rod for that. Also, like I said, if I was gonna flip though, like the Stealth Fighter is what I flip docks with a lot, or skip docks with, or I use a War Eagle heavy finesse jig a lot too, a round ball jig, I would wanna run braid to a leader on this, but that's just me. That's my 2 cents anyway. This one is great rod for the money. Check out the Shimano Zeus 610 medium heavy fast. All right, I was actually wondering when these guys were gonna pop up. Dobbins. This one happens to be the Champion HP line, the orange ones as I call them. I have 3 of these. I have the full cork versions of these rods. I'm a big fan of these, big fan of these. This one here is a 7-foot heavy fast action. First one up in that 7-foot range, which surprised me because that's kind of what I use for a dock skipping rod a lot. I really like these. I've found these to be of high value to me. Rich Lindgren, a friend of ours here at Omnia, actually pointed this out several times. I've heard him say this. If you're into like really snappy rods, these aren't your rod. This one's gonna have a little bit more load to it. I think these rods, the 3 I have, the reason why I ended up with 3, I started with 1, bought another one, and I bought another one, was my landing percentage on these particular rods is through the roof. Especially today's modern lines, I think these things absolutely button fish up and get them in the boat for you. I've had I'm known for some pretty bad hook sets at times. When I'm in the groove, I'm all right, but sometimes I'm sloppy and it takes me a few fish after if I haven't fished for a while or anything like that to get clean, and sometimes you high stick fish or slack line them a little bit or do all this. It seems like no matter how you get a hook in them with these rods, they help you out getting them in the boat. So that's my 2 cents. This one came in at 4.8 ounces, so it's the heaviest one so far of the bunch. Really love the reel seat on these and the truck on the front. Everything's all nice and smooth and nice to palm and everything like that. Feels nice and balanced with this reel, but I do have a pretty big reel with a big handle on it here. But excited to go bend this one. This is the Dobbins Champion HP, like horsepower, in a 7-foot heavy fast. Okay, Dobbins Champion HP, 7-foot heavy fast, and bam, oh yeah. It's a little bit mod fast. I mean, it's mod fast to me. You know, it's clearly fast. It's got plenty of tip to shake a bait. If you want to, like Alabama, shake a retrieve back to yourself, or if you want to shake your jig on the bottom and not move it. Plenty of that, plenty of tip to load up on a sidearm or an underhand flip or skip. Nice thing about this one is, so far out of the bunch, I was probably leaning until this one on the Falcon Cara is my favorite. This one to me is the most versatile feeling of the bunch. It's probably not for most people, but I have to throw it's just me, my opinion, the way I like to fish. I like rods that help me set the hook. Not that I don't get in a groove and crack on them sometime and get going, but sometimes you make mistakes, especially around docks and weird angles and things like that. I feel like this rod would aid you in your hook setting and landing of the fish. I also think there's a lot of things you could do with this rod besides skip docks with it. I would fish open water, like sparse cover frogs with this thing. I could see throwing buzz baits with this thing. I could see doing, you know, decent sized Texas rigs on a Carolina. There's a whole bunch of stuff you could do with this thing. Honestly, this rod feels insanely versatile to me. I'm a big fan of these. As you can tell, I've said that probably enough on here, but one thing I have to say with the bend wall here, critique of it, is it does feel a little bit more mod fast than fast to me. It is pulling back pretty early. I know on the wall it's looking super moderate to me from here, from this angle I'm at. But it's pulling back, trust me, in the front half of that rod. So I call it mod fast, but that's why we got the wall here. You be the judge. Okay, last one of this bunch. And yes, if you're watching this and we're waiting for like some of the Daiwa skipping rods, or there's actually a whole bunch that I've been thinking of that are really popular that I know of for dock skipping that weren't on this first go round. We are having a second go round, so you'll see more rods coming on this. And as always, we do ask that if you took the time to watch this, thank you very much. And please do let us know what rods are out there that you think are fantastic. Believe it or not, and I mean this, we do have 2 people here that run our socials and do a lot of our content editing and stuff like that. They do read these comments, and they're the ones who read them, and they have changed the way we've done some of these. We've added product because of comments on these. So for those of you that have taken the time to constructively jump in and say, hey, you know what you guys should do, try this and do this. Thank you very much for that. Like we've added rods to the assortment and stuff because of these. So we do want to hear from people. And even on a lot of you that have made the comments about do some rods under $100, a lot more of those, tell us which ones for sure that you're seeing out there and hearing about, because we are going to be expanding the assortment to cover more bases. So this one here is the last one of this bunch, and it's a pretty nice one. This is the St. Croy Legend Extreme. 7-1 medium heavy, but this one out of all the rods so far is the first one that's deemed extra fast. I do personally know some people that do say this is one of the best skipping rods there is out there. Confusing to me, but that's why we have a bend wall here, and I like that kind of stuff. I love when we have differing opinions. I love to see how this thing feels. I'm going to get a weight for it and get back to you here in just a moment as I go over here to the wall with the last one of round 1 of dock skipping rods, the St. Croy Legend Extreme 7-1 medium heavy extra fast. All right, Legend Extreme here. It came in at 4.4 ounces. So once again, Shimano on this wall loves Shimano, man. That Zodius rod being 4 ounces, it seems like an extreme value. I will say this rod, a lot of St. Croy people and people even that are critical of St. Croy that I know, all have really complimented this series of rods. These blanks feel really snappy and alive. I've always been a fan of this particular rod series. I spent a week up in Canada with all these type of rods, all in spinning, but the Legend Extreme. And it made me a big fan of this series. It's a very, very good series. 4.4 ounces, by no means heavy. It is 4.4 ounces, but it's a 7'1", and it does feel like it's got a lot more backbone than medium heavy compared to the other medium heavies. And that tip on this thing is pretty fast. It's not stinger tip extra fast, but it is fast. You know, as you load into it, it is getting into that mod fast kind of tip, but trust me, it's pulling back on me 4 or 5 guides down. It's already starting to like peel over on me. So I could see how skipping lighter jigs with this thing and skipping jigs and things of that nature, you'd be really accurate with this rod. The tip is very, very forgiving up there on it, and it shuts off pretty fast though, just like an extra fast rod, you know. But you know, it's giving you the rod to fight the fish still. So this could be a straight floor rod. This could be a braid deleter rod if you were that person. You could straight braid it with this thing if you wanted to. I love rods that get into, you know, more of that moderate bend as you're fighting a fish, but really do shut off and give you that hook set up in that top section of the blank up there. So this one's a really cool one. I see playing with it, with how light the tip is on this rod, the very, very tip section, how this would be an easier one to get used to skipping with, especially the way I like to with a sidearm kind of roll cast. The tip on this thing would allow you to be get a lot of velocity going. So cool one here from St. Croy. Last one of this bunch. Like I said, please let us know in the comments what other dock skipping rods we should be talking about.